Hello, this is Mike with TradeWinds RV Center, here to congratulate you on your Winnebago 2108 FVS travel trailer. I'm going to walk you around to show you how to use a few things to get the best out of your camping experience. Let's start by talking about arriving at the campsite and a few things to take into consideration when you're parking. On your campsite, I want you to leave this plenty of room for this awning. On your off campsite, besides your slide, I also want you to think about where your power and water connections are going to be, and then we're going to be all the way back here on the rear. So park accordingly so you can utilize the facilities at the campsite. Once you arrive, unhook our hitch. First thing we're going to do is lever your unit. The unit does come with a power tongue jack. Night docking light, should you arrive at night, simply retract or extend until you get this level. Now should you lose power, underneath this rubber stopper right here, that hand crank will get this up and down if you have no power. Speaking of power, check your battery posts every now and then. Make sure those haven't wiggled loose going down the road. Once we got our unit level, next thing we're going to do is stabilize it. Your unit's actually equipped with power stabilizing jacks. They're all ran from back here to the front and the back. You can hit extend. So run these down, sometimes one at a time. One thing on these, you want to make sure that this foot is loose. Once our one's down, go ahead and extend the other one. Now we'll recommend stabilizing jack pads for these. Pads are going to protect the feet of your stabilizing jacks from dirt, debris, and hot black top in the summer. Get a 4-pack of those from our stores for 10% off coupon. Run them down just until they're taut. Once they feel like they're going to start to lift the unit, go ahead and stop. Same thing up front. Remember, our unit's already level. We're just trying to stabilize it at this point. There's a manual override right here that you can go ahead and use your hand crank on. Again, should you lose power and can't get these stabilizing jacks up. I'm just going to run all 4 of those down so you can see them all working. Once we got our unit level, stable, we can hook up our power and water. Big long 30 amp cord back here. Ready to plug in now. It'll go in at about 10 o'clock. Turn it to noon and then put your washer on. That'll lock that on there. And your convenience pack will be a 30 to 15 amp reducer. Get your power hooked up. Let's hook up your water. All right, coming back here at campsites, we're going to hook up to this white area. That's going to be our city water connection. First and foremost, your water pressure regulator. This water pressure regulator is going to reduce the water pressure to 40 to 50 psi, protecting the lines in your unit. You don't know what the water pressure is at different campsites, so always use these. Hook that up. Hook up your hose. Don't turn your hose on yet. Just to the right of all this is going to be your hot water heater. Make sure this drain plug's back on there. Get that on there nice and snug and tight. Then you can go ahead and turn this hose on. After that hose on for a few minutes, we're going to go inside and open up your slide. We're going to go upside and open up our slide so we can get in here and open up all of our water lines. I need to show you on your slide, you have a power. Turn that on and then hit out. Gonna run your slide out. Again, we're going to get in here, we're going to open up these water lines. Open up the water lines in our bathroom. Flush our toilet a couple times, put a couple gallons of water down in there. The black tank will thank you later. Run your shower, get all the air out of the lines, get a nice steady flow of water going through, and then you're all set to camp. Now let's say we're going to go camping and we're not going to use city water. We're going to go dry camping. In that case, you're going to come over here to your campsite and fill up your freshwater tank. No need for a water pressure regulator here. You can simply gravity fill this with a hose. 2 ways to tell it's full. One, there's an overflow valve right here. Or 2 on the inside where you check the level of your black and gray tanks. There's also a freshwater button. Keep an eye on that when you're filling it up. Don't leave it unattended. Once it's full, remove your hose, put your cap back on, and then whenever you want to utilize that water, you'll turn on your water pump indoors. Don't turn on your water pump when hooked up to the city water on the other side. That's already pressurized. All right, we're all set to camp with power and water. I'm going to continue showing you around your unit, continuing over here back on your off campsite. It's our big pass-through storage area. Awning does have a slide topper. Again, back here we've got our power. Satellite hookup, cable for parks, a hot and cold shower, city water fill. Down here is going to be our black and gray tanks. Alright, coming back here at campsites, we're going to hook up to this white area. That's going to be our city water connection. First and foremost, your water pressure regulator. This water pressure regulator is going to reduce the water pressure to 40 to 50 psi, protecting the lines in your unit. You don't know what the water pressure is at different campsites, so always use these. Hook that up, hook up your hose. Don't turn your hose on yet. Just to the right of all this is going to be your hot water heater. Make sure this drain plug's back on there. Get that on there nice and snug and tight, then you can go ahead and turn this hose on. After that hose on for a few minutes, we're going to go inside and open up your slide. Alright, come around this corner again is our power, satellite hookup, park cable for campsites, a hot and cold shower, your city water. It's going to be a black tank flush. We'll talk about that when dumping our black and gray tanks. Again, your hot water heater. Got a ladder, utilize it. Go up there a couple times a year, check the seams of your roof and caulk as needed with recommended RV roofing caulk. Got a nice cover for your spare tire. That's good to keep it from dry rotting. Keep an eye on that, make sure it stays in good shape for when you need it. There's our awning on this side. Coming over to this side, we've got a access to the back of our fridge, a flue for our furnace. A couple things on that. Steer clear of it when it's running. It does get hot. Make sure it's never blocked. You can set a TV up out here. Here's a backer for it. There's your cable and 110 for that. Up top we got a couple of outdoor speakers. Again, our freshwater intake. Down below here is going to be our freshwater drain. Pass-through storage area. Your propane does have a cover. Has a regulator on it, just pointed toward the tank you wish to be using. Lefty-loosey to open. That about covers everything out here. Let's go take a look on the inside. Coming up beside your unit, first thing I like to point out is the fire extinguisher. Make sure that you and everyone that's camping with you knows the fire extinguisher is located by the entry doorway in case of an emergency. Just above that's going to be a 110 with GFCI reset. Down here is your 12-volt carbon monoxide propane detector. The reason I mentioned that's 12 volt, that is always running off your battery. So if you are out dry camping, boondocking somewhere, keep that in mind. You might want to disconnect one of your batteries if you're going to be gone for the entire day and you don't want that to run your battery down. Up here to our left immediately is going to be our awning control. On that awning, you only want to run that awning out until that flap falls down and you can see that gray bar. If you hold that button down on extend, it will continue to run itself out and start to run itself up backwards. So keep an eye on it when you run it out. Make sure you don't run it out further than you need to. As that continues coming in, below that's going to be lighting. Up top, tank heater. That's where you can turn on a 12-volt pad. If you're in inclement weather and you think your pads are going to freeze, that's where you can turn that on at. Down below that is where we'll check the level of our tanks. Right here's our battery, brand new battery, fresh, black, and gray tanks. That freshwater button's one I said to hold down when you're filling up your potable water. Down here's where you turn on your water pump to use that potable water. Here is your water heater if hooked to gas, your water heater if hooked to electric. Choose correctly, it does make a difference. Again, and our slide control does have a kind of a lock. So a light you have to turn on in order to utilize that slide. All right, coming into the kitchen, I do want to mention you've got some plumbing to maintain. Just keep an eye on it. It's almost all PEX nowadays. Keep it up underneath the... keep your plumbing... If you're bouncing this trailer up and down the road a lot, keep an eye on things. Make sure nothing's wiggled loose over time. Turn on some of these lights to bring us to our microwave. Self-explanatory. Convection microwave, you know that because it's got the metal in it. So you can cook and bake and all kinds of cool stuff with this. Got a fan and a light above this cooktop. The top makes an excellent backsplash. Turn that on. That's your panel light. Turn that to light. Hit your spark. Now you may have to go through a few times to get that to bleed your, get some gas in your lines. You can hear it coming through. There we go. Just remember that when you first get to the campsite, I shut this one off. You may have to give it a few minutes for the gas to get up into everything. Dometic fridge controls are just inside here. You turn that on and we are on auto. Auto means when you're running off electricity, or when you're plugged in, it'll automatically run off electricity. As soon as you unplug, it'll go to gas. Lift that button up, it'll be gas, and if that light starts flashing, check your gas. Heading into our bathroom. Turn the light on here. Mention we got a hand crank open power exhaust vent. 110 and lighting here. This door, you want to make sure this door is bungeed open for travel. Keep that from bouncing around on you. More plumbing. Access panel here. Keep an eye on things. Coming into the wireless charging port. Above that our Insignia TV. There's your charger working. Sound system. Turn that on real quick. Try to find your remote. There's our music. Indoor, outdoor speakers. You can hear it out there. So AM, FM, Bluetooth compatible. Nice system. Alright, located your remote up here in the cabinet with some more paperwork from the previous owner. Just when you arrive at the campsite, go into your menu, run a digital channel scan so you can pick up all of your local channels. Continuing on, this table, you'll have to turn this metal off to the side and you can lift it off the back and push it straight down onto these. That locks it in. Anyway, that'll come down here. Put your back cushions on top. That'll give you another area to sleep in. Coming into our bedroom. Another hand crank open vent. Lots of lighting in here. We do have tons of storage up underneath your bed. Charging ports up here. Besides your smoke alarm by the entry doorway, I think I've covered about everything else. So let's act like we're getting ready to leave the campsite and close the unit up. I like to start by shutting off my interior lights, then from the doorway. Then I can walk through and see what other lights need to individually be shut off. A lot of these are just what they call one touch. Touch them once and they go right off or turn on. Now I've got all these accent lights off. Come to my control panel and turn my lights back on and say doors and drawers. Walk through your unit, make sure all doors and drawers are closed. Bathroom doors snapped open. All of our vents are closed. I need to show you your thermostat working. Let me come back down here before we close this up and quickly crank up the air. Get the AC going in here. Sorry, I walked right past this earlier. There's a crank down here in a second. There it goes. Now you'll notice when I shut the AC off, circle around to off, there's just cool, heat, and off on these. Now see, I shut off rather quickly. But now when I do heat, 86, I should crank it up. There's my return right there. Now you'll notice when I shut that off, it does take a few minutes for that fan to cycle through before it shuts off. Alright, again, doors and drawers, walking through our unit, closing all doors and drawers. Getting our vents closed. Make sure we're ready for travel. Turn on your slide power and just hit in. Now one thing you do want to do is if you have that TV out, swiveled out, and you get ready to close this slide, make sure all the doors and drawers on that cabinet over there are closed, as well as make sure your TV's out of the way. as this comes in. You see it utilizes a lot of space. Shut off our power, shut off our lights, and exit the unit. Now before you leave the dump station, you're going to want to lock and deadbolt this door, lift and turn this handle. I say after the dump station because you're going to want to go inside there and check the levels of your tanks as you're driving or as you're dumping them. If we are at out dry camping, you're going to bring up our stabilizing jacks, get up underneath there and dump that freshwater drain, hook up our hitch, and head on up to the nearest dump station. Nearest dump station or home, whatever we're in need of.